Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elam Shehakol V'Barei. Chaim, Chaim Bracha.
Amen.
Okay. So today's learning, honor of Diane, a speedy recovery. And for Yeshaya ben Chaya, he should also have a speedy recovery. Okay. I'm going to start a new mimer to prepare for Yom Kippur. This was said in 1976. And it begins with the words from actually the Haftorah from past Shabbos. Shuva Israel, return Israel. In other words, do penitence. Ad Havaya Elakecha, until Havaya, God's name, right? Tetragrammaton. Elakecha, your God. Right? The two basic names of God that we use. So it's known the exactingness in this phrase, which is from Hosea in the prophets, that it should say, return to Hashem, look, your God, right? It doesn't say return, right? Because if you're returning somewhere, you're going somewhere. So where are you going to? You're going to towards something, right? Or towards someone. So here in this verse, that the verse is saying, Shuva Israel, return. Who's with Israel? Right. And some coffee. Chaim. So it's saying return. So it should say le, with lamed, which means two. Also, the fact that it mentions two names of gods over here, Havaya, right? And Elohim, we need to understand. We need to understand that. Further, third thing we need to understand. It says, the verse continues, Ki kashalta ba'aveinecha, because you have stumbled in your sin. That's why you have to return, right? So what we need to understand is, since it says return, why return to God? Why do penitence? Obviously, because you did something wrong. So it's understood by itself. Why does the verse have to say, because you have stumbled in sin? So something must be added to our understanding using those words, because you have stumbled in sin. All right, that's the jumping. That's where we jump off from. That's the the questions now. So the idea is as follows. In this divine service of God, there are two general things. Sumera, which means to remove yourself from evil, asetev, and do good. Right? Two things, right? Stay away from evil and do good. So, simply don't speak lashon hara, don't speak ill. Don't, for a Jew, eat something that's not kosher. Right? That's staying away from evil. Say tov, do good, give charity, pray, learn Torah, right? And the like. So these two services, ways of serving God, right, is connected to God's names. So removing yourself from evil, from negativity, is connected to Shem Elohim. And doing good is connected to Shem Havaya, to the Tetragrammaton. Therefore, when you mention, in Jewish law, it says that when you mention the name Elohim, you need to have in mind of the power and the strength that God has in the heavens above, in the spiritual realm, and in this world down here. Right? That's something you should, when you mention that name, to be mindful of. Yeah. Okay. When you mention Shem Havaya, you should think that that name is got in it the spelling of the words Haya Hayvavia, past, present, and future. Right? If you play with the letters of the Shem Havaya, you will be able to make the three different words of past, present, and future in Hebrew. Right? That's something to have in mind. Now, what's the distinction between these two names? That which God has the power in above and below, in the spiritual realm and in this physical world, means that is a reference to godliness that has a connection to worldliness, right? Worlds, spiritual or physical, it's a world. It means God has power over. So it means power over, it means he's connected to it. So in general terms, in Kabbalistic or Hasidic jargon, that would be called memale kol almin, the way God fills the world, right? The way he fills the world. Then you have Shem Havaya, past, present, and future in one name, right? Means, well, past, present, and future, even in the spiritual realm, there is a concept of time, right? Even if it's not a time as we know it, but if there's a higher and a lower, that itself is a concept of time, levels, right? Well, no, it may not be physical space, right? But the fact that there's levels, right? So then that would be also concept of space. Now it might be only conceptually, right? But it's still, you know, there's levels. This that God is beyond time, right? Because past, present, and future is one. That's beyond time, obviously, right? Is godliness that's beyond the world, because the world is defined by time and space. The physical world and the spiritual world is also in the concept and abstract concept of time and space, right? In the term that we use in Chassidus for this level of godliness to describe it is Sovev Kolamin, the way God encompasses the world, meaning he's beyond Sovev. Exactly. Yeah, fills and encompass. Exactly. Now, As we said, the parameter, the definition of world is time and space. Whether it's in the spiritual world, right? Which is also has the parameter of time and space, except that there the time and space are spiritual, not physical. Right? And now, since the light that fills is um, is comparable to that which it's filling, like the coffee that fills this cup is comparable to the cup, right? It's got the boundaries and the limitations of the cup that it fills. Okay. Right? Um, right. So as we're saying, is the light that fills that is comparable to the world that it fills, understood that in the light that fills the godly light of God, right? We're talking about the godly light of is also, similar to time and space. Now, when we say similar to time and space, as I said, in spiritual terms, it means higher or lower, right? Higher doesn't have to be in physical space. It can be an abstract concept, but yet there is that kind of idea, right? Which then, of course, in the abstract form, it becomes then the source for the physical form of time and space. Wait, just to, because when we speak like for like, it arose in God's thought to create. And then from there was a contraction on the infinite, right? All that did that happen in time? No. But, did it happen in time? No, because it's before there was time. But is there conceptually the idea of what came first? Yeah. It's a little hard to kind of put our minds around this. Just to give you I've mentioned this before. Stephen Hawking's. I saw a BBC documentary that he was doing about, is there a God who created the world? And it goes back and forth with the arguments, back and forth. And the final proof that there is no God, because if you go back in creation, there was a point in time that there was no time or space. And his conclusion from that was, which you're going to laugh, I'm just going to tell you, so get ready to laugh. Well, then obviously there is no God because he didn't have the time to create the world. What? God's not limited by time. He created time. Anyways, I had to watch that at least 3 times because I thought, like, did I miss something? This guy's supposed to be brilliant, but you can be brilliant fools, as he indeed was. But another conversation. So that is the way God fills the world. So the godliness that we're talking about, right? Um, is, by the way, connecting it with what we're learning in Tanya chapter 20 or letter 20 is the kav. The kav is the line that is the sword that comes out of the contraction, the first primal contraction of the infinite light of God, that is the source for finitude. Now, a line has a beginning, middle, and an end, right? So conceptually, there's a concept of beginning, middle, and end, and it's the source of the physical world that has a beginning, middle, and end. No, no, no. Beginning is finite. No, the beginning means there's a beginning. That's finite, right? Okay. Now, this that we say that God is past, present, and future is one is, of course, beyond any division of time, right? Again, the way God fills the world means that there's a connection to time and space. So the source of it is the Kav, which conceptually there's a beginning of a line, middle of a line, and bottom of a line. There's a concept, right? Conceptually, there's such a thing. But that which God is beyond time and space, right, is the name of Avaya because its past, present, future is one. Therefore, is beyond the world. Now, even though that we're saying that it is past, present, future is one, right? But in the end, past, present, future is time. Except that he's beyond the division of time. All right. That's also, a little kind of challenging idea. So it's understood from this that there is a connection to time. You're beyond the division of time, so there can be a beginning, middle, and end, but you're still some kind of connection to time. And that's why the name of Vaya is Yud Havaya, which means present, to bring into presence, creating the world from that name. Except that the world that comes into creation from the name Havaya is not really that limited. Therefore, the past, present, and the future are as one. So with this then, this is Havaya Elokim, Havaya being the encompassing of the world, the light of God that encompasses, and that which fills the world. Because the creation of the world, well, we're going to stop here. To be continued. All right. This is pretty, shall we say, very deep abstract idea.